I still think at the end of the day, Jimmy G is very likely to play for the Niners next year. But you and I got to talking on Twitter about Teddy Bridgewater coming to the Niners, and we've been calling and whatever the situation. The only way that makes sense to me is some sort of a 3-team trade where the Niners send Jimmy Garoppolo back to Bill Belichick. We get something like a second-round pick for him. And then we go call in and get Teddy Bridgewater for cheaper, right? So to me, it makes sense to say we go out and get a second for Jimmy. We trade a fourth for Bridgewater. And now we've basically increased our draft stock and we've gotten a comparable quarterback. Then it makes sense to me because Teddy Bridgewater would then be a stopgap to hopefully means to an ends next year, which would be somebody like Aaron Rodgers finally moving on from the Packers. That's kind of what
closer to home. Wow.
Yeah,
crazy.
I'd love to see that. I don't think any of these are Sam Darnold. He needs to prove anything. Drew Lock, not sold on him at all. I mean, I don't know. I think Jimmy G is the only relevant one, and like I said, he probably ends up in San Francisco to start the year, but we'll see.
Justin, what about you?
I see Garoppolo leaving as Bridgewater comes in and him taking a backup role that anyone that will sign him.
So he agrees with game.
I mean, dude, Jimmy's not a starter, and I made a bold prediction last year and wanted him to take that next step up. And even when he was healthy, I didn't see it. And we know the Niners have some nice weapons, but he's just not a good quarterback. To me, fantasy, irrelevant.
Wow, that's a big jump from last year where you were like saying we were underrating him last year going into the year.
I really thought,
but we all got stuff wrong.
I got to be wrong sometimes. Shoot.
Yeah, because even though
you're going to be wrong about the Niners.
As dynamic as Kyle Shanahan's offense is, it almost is to the point where, and you can make Kittle relevant, you can make Debo relevant, you can make Ayuk relevant, but it almost feels that no matter who you give us, like even if we got Deshaun Watson, I still feel like his outlook for the year is going to be lesser than it would be had he just stayed in Houston. And that's because we've just run the ball so much. And it doesn't matter who's behind the line. It can be Jeff Wilson Jr. or Mostert or Coleman. We've seen it. McKinnon, we're going to run the ball. So I don't care who you give us. You could give us Teddy Bridgewater. He might be better than Jimmy Garoppolo. Let's say he is better than Jimmy Garoppolo. He's still not going to be fantasy relevant on the 49ers. It's just not going to happen. Unless you give us a Russell Wilson, a Deshaun Watson, maybe then they're relevant. Of course they're relevant because they're just great, but they're not going to be as relevant had they just stayed on their previous teams. And I say that as a Niner fan.
So if the QB isn't relevant, it's still fair to say, though, that the wide receivers will be relevant. I mean, people should still be going after Debo Samuel, Brendan Ayuk. Okay, just to make sure. And I know that we all agree with that. I just want some people out there might think that, oh, a QB is not relevant at all, then why should I trust their wide receivers? Well, a QB could throw a ball 15 times a game and not be fantasy relevant at all. But one of the wide receivers can catch 5 or 6 balls for 96 and a touchdown and be completely fine.
Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of this has to do with supporting cast around these quarterbacks, right? Like we talk about it all the time. Fully healthy Jimmy Garoppolo on the Chiefs would be great fantasy-wise, right? But yeah, most starting quarterbacks in the league, you plug them into that Chiefs offense, they're going to be really good fantasy-wise. Yeah. The thing is, Jimmy Garoppolo, nobody's starting him in a standard 10 or 12 team league. But he needs to be given his respect as an NFL starter. He's 24-8 as a starter. The Niners without him are 7-26. There's a reason why we win with him.
Yeah.
Maybe he's a glorified game manager, whatever you want to call it, but he's not. Look, we needed one throw to win the Super Bowl that year. He wasn't able to do it. They need an upgrade to be able to do that. But I think the Niners, for lack of a better way of putting it, they're going to be stuck with Garoppolo this year.
Mm-hmm. And Justin, I see you smiling over there.
They do need to upgrade, though.
Niner fans live in La La Land. Let me tell you how many times.
Those are facts.
Joey puts up the misconception that the Niners just can't do a quarterback. That's not true. They never had a decent quarterback for years. Colin Kaepernick for that little stint, okay, great. Before that, Alex Smith, game manager.
What are you talking about? It has nothing to do with. Yeah,
but
you're not talking about Shanahan. I'm talking about Shanahan. I don't care about those guys. They weren't under Shanahan. Shanahan we're a run the ball team, and that's what we are. I'm not saying that we can't. Obviously, if you get us Matt Ryan, he's still going to be fantasy relevant. But like I said, we need a top 5. We take a top 5 guy and we turn him into a top 10 guy.
I don't think that's fair to say because you never had a top 5 guy like that.
I mean,
but anyways,
it's just the numbers of how much we throw. Go look at the amount of attempts that we have. Now, listen,
it's volume. It's volume. Yeah. It's like moving a running back to the Chiefs. They're going to have less volume, right? Like,
exactly. Now, your argument may be that, well, they'll stop running as much and they'll start throwing more because they get a better quarterback.
I do think they would adjust. They would adjust the playbook if they get a Watson. You know?
Of course, if they get a Watson, that was my point. But Watson in Houston gets to throw the ball 50 times. I don't think Watson in San Francisco gets to throw the ball 50 times.
No. You know, I'm not letting Garoppolo throw 50 times. That's why he's not throwing 50 times. And to go to Jacob's point, one throw away from making the Super Bowl, it's not because it's Jimmy Garoppolo got you there. That defense was amazing, like the best I've ever seen almost. So I'm not going to say he's not a winner. He's a game manager. And if you put him on a stout defense, like team right now, if you put him on the Colts, maybe I can see him making the playoffs. But other than that, you need a heavy D to back that guy up.
But the problem is that why would you throw the ball 50 times, even if you had Deshaun Watson? If Raheem Mostert gets you 225 yards on 25 attempts, why would you throw the ball? I don't need to. Why would I don't care if I have Jesus or Peyton Manning, prime Peyton Manning. I'm not throwing. I'm running because I get 10 yards every time I put the ball on the ground. You know what I mean?
This ain't your grandpappy's NFL. You got to throw the ball these days.
Of course you do. And that's why Jacob said we were one throw away from winning the Super Bowl. It was the same scenario when we had Kaepernick. We were one throw. We needed an upgrade. We still need an upgrade. I think in order to be a Super Bowl winner, you have to upgrade from Garoppolo. But that doesn't mean that you're not a playoff team. You can still be a playoff team. And swapping Garoppolo for Teddy Bridgewater doesn't take us up any notches. It makes us the same exact team.
Agreed on that.
Gabe, so I don't know about you, but I'm drafting Jesus #1 overall in the dynasty draft.
Our Lord and Savior.